We always wanted to write a relationship story, like our favorite movies, Annie Hall and those kinds of things. We just didn't have the relationship we wanted to write about. And then I went to England, and this happened. And as it was going on, he was back in New York, and I was sending him emails, and the emails were, so last night we went to this place, I said this, she said this, I should have said this, right? And then this would have happened. And it was very much a dissection of this crazy relationship where I never really knew what anyone was thinking or feeling. And I was so embarrassingly like that. And we got back, and we sort of, I had this idea of how to tell the story. And once I had that, I was like, you know what, maybe we could do something here that wouldn't just be funny to you and I and people who knew me and wanted to laugh at my nonsense. Maybe we could write something cool here. And then even when we were done, I was like, it's too personal, it's too close. And I left it on my computer for about 6 or 7 months. And then I was so bad at my job that I got quickly fired and was like, okay, I'm either moving back in with my parents or I better show people this script. And that was really the impetus that got it out there. A lot of this was written in retaliation for the way in which romantic comedies had been made. We had just hated them. And when we were younger, some of them, like, you know, The Graduate's kind of a romantic comedy, and When Harry Met Sally is an amazing romantic comedy, and Annie Hall was one of our favorite movies. So the way in which they used to work, we loved, and they were about the relationship. So they were love stories about love. The comedy would come from the relationship and not from, like, they go to the zoo and an animal attacks and it's so funny because that happens to everybody. And so we were kind of, you know, just writing against that kind of thing, and then realized that in this particular one, if you say up front it's not going to end well, no one believes you. So the best way to kind of surprise an audience is to say in the beginning, here's what the ending is going to be. It isn't going to be a happy thing that you're all expecting because you've seen these movies a million times. And everyone goes, yeah, right. And they wait for the ending where they kiss and everybody's happy. And we got a lot of feedback of like, I can't believe you did that. And we were like, well, why can't you? We told you we were doing that. And that was just really fun for us. And so it's very much a love story because it's about the concept. But it isn't the love story that you're used to and have seen before. So we just kind of wanted to make sure we say that up front so that you can react accordingly. We wanted it to be a character who was doing something in his life that wasn't the thing he wanted to be doing, and he was too afraid to pursue that. And this person that comes along that he thinks is going to be the person he ends up with has a different gift for him that he didn't expect or didn't even recognize. And it's someone who sort of inspires you to be the best person, even though they don't love you the way you love them. And because I was working at a movie company at the time and wanted to write, I didn't think that was a far enough kind of thing to go. But a greeting card, which is like, you know, the most disposable thing, and then architecture, which is the least disposable thing. At one point, I think it was probably 200 pages of stuff. And it was a 200-page first act. We weren't going anywhere. We didn't know what the point was. What story were we telling? And when I heard that she got engaged after no time, I'm not, you know, I'm totally over it by now, I promise. At the time, it was like, wait, what? When that happened, I was like, oh, that's the story we're telling. We're telling the story about how you can't make someone love you, but that doesn't mean that there isn't love in the world and that you can't find it. And it really quickly turned into a screenplay from there. But that had to happen in real life. I'm not that imaginative. Weber and I had made a list of relationship moments. And he was in a relationship at the time with his high school sweetheart. They'd been living together for 5 years. They'd been together for 12 or something crazy. I had been on 2 third dates in my life. And we were, you know, we had made a list, and his list was all of the things that you do in relationships when they're comfortable. And mine was all this up the mountain crazy stuff, the first this and the first that, and then the horrible, disastrous breakup stuff, and the fighting, and then all that stuff. And none of his scenes really, none of those scenes actually make it into the movie because it's a very roller coastery ride. And one of the things that we had thought would be really fun was, how does it feel after you get that first kiss or that first more than kiss, whatever you want to say. And what is that next day like? It's you, especially when you put someone on a pedestal and it becomes this challenge. You know, if I do that, it would be the greatest experience of my entire life. So how does that feel? When I hit upon sort of how to tell the story, the thing that we were really excited about was the opportunity to juxtapose moments back to back. If you don't tell the story in a linear fashion, you can put the time in which you told this joke and she thought it was hilarious, and then the time when you guys were in the middle of things not going so well, and you told the same joke, and now you're a horrible person, and you put them back to back, and you see that time is really the villain, not the people, in a relationship that's not going great. And when Mark Webb came on, he kind of sat down and could have said anything. We were like, oh God, there's a director now, it's not ours. This could go very badly, and all he wanted to know was why. If you can justify every cut and every, non-linear choice, then we can go with this, and we were able to do that. We could tell him why this worked here and didn't work there and stuff. So that was cool. People think writing is sitting at a computer. It's the one thing that you can, everyone can do on their laptop, or so they think. And so there's definitely, it's easy to forget. And also, I think if you're especially doing something that's a comedy, what was funny in January may not be funny a January later, because you've read it so many times. And so a lot of people, they think that newer is better, but sometimes newer is just newer. And it's helpful sometimes to remind them, like, this is gonna work for people who've never heard it. You've just heard it 300 times. So yeah, how do you write a scene? You can just write, here's what I want the audience to feel in this moment, and probably move on to the next one. Relationships and romance and love are not one-sided. But for this person, he's very much, it's all about him. And he's not even listening to her when she's describing, like, something that she's never told anyone before in her life. His first sort of response is like, well, then I must be pretty special that you're telling me. And it's like, it's not about you, dude. And yeah, that was all fiction also.